Just bear with me for a second. Hello everyone. Good evening. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're ready to have a spooktacular time. I'm gonna bake cookies. Hooray! Baby chef rides again. I'm gonna bake pumpkin cookies with white chocolate chips. I'm not using a recipe because I cannot be bothered. I'm gonna throw stuff in bowls. I'm gonna mix the things that I've thrown into bowls, and I'm putting them in my oven. And they're gonna be something. Listen, you put a mixture with flour and egg and baking soda and powder into any form and heat it up, it's gonna solidify in some capacity. Why should I worry about doing things correctly when I can simply just do them at all? I have to put my apron on really carefully because I'm having a great hair day. When my hair is kind of trapezoidal like this, that's when I know that I'm killing them. It's a beautiful crisp October day. The pumpkin that I carved a couple of videos ago that I put on my balcony is just starting to rot. Tree fitty, naturally. It'd be really great if I had a kitchen island. I don't. Do I have anything I wish I could just put stuff. You know what, who cares? My dad taught me to pull myself up by my bootstraps. He didn't. He told me to approach life with mirth and charisma and treat everybody like a potential friend. The very first thing I'm gonna do is line some baking sheets with parchment paper because I hate the rainforest and I love not having to clean cookie sheets. You might notice a distinct absence of Halloween decorations in my kitchen. That's because my single worst quality is I do not decorate for holidays, and I think it is a waste of time. I have friends who are like, ooh, a new Spirit Halloween just opened up. I'm gonna buy a welcome mat that says spooky bitch on it. I admire their enthusiasm. There's not a single bone in my body that manifests quirkiness in that way. Do you know how much my ex-roommate had to beg me to allow us to get a fake Christmas tree? I exclusively bake things from scratch, by the way. And it's not because I enjoy the smug self-satisfaction of doing that. It's because I love measuring things. This canister is where I hold my AP flour. All-purpose flour, advanced placement flour, whatever you want to call it. This has been in my family for so long that it was purchased at a department store that went out of business in 2001. I love that sound. Listen to that sound. You know what that means? Magic's about to happen. Yeah. Oh, I love baking. I love the chemistry of baking. I find it very soothing, except for when it starts to freak me out because I feel like I'm doing something wrong. But the thing I learned about making cookies specifically is it's really hard to actually mess them up. But I found in my long history of baking, I will eat almost anything. Canned pumpkin puree has a pretty high water content. Also, fresh pumpkin puree has an even higher water content. And an excess of liquids can really mess up your dough's ability to stay together. So what I did earlier was I took some puree and I put it in my dehydrator for about a half hour just to get some of the moisture out. I don't particularly care one way or another. I wanted to humor myself a little bit. So when it comes time for us to get our wet ingredients together, that's the situation. Can you see it? Let's get our dry ingredients together. So flour, baking soda, baking powder, salt. I salt absolutely everything that I bake. I love a salty baked good. I like the interplay of sweet and salty. I keep my salt in this little thing, and I buy really crispy, crunchy salt. And I like dipping my little fingers in there and feeling those rocks, those minerals. Yup. Also, since we're doing something pumpkin-based, we need pumpkin pie spice. Now, did I buy pumpkin pie spice? What the hell do you think? Hold on, guys. I have to stop filming for a second. I just noticed I have an eyebrow hair out of place from putting on my apron. And that I simply will not allow. We're gonna see if I have the elements of pumpkin pie spice just around in my spice rack. I got a spice rack right here for you. Allspice, check. Cinnamon, Check. Rosemary. Uncheck. Ground nutmeg. Check. Basil. I don't think that's right. Do you guys think we put basil in pumpkin pie spice? No! It's cloves. Alright, I know I don't have no goddamn cloves. So, okay, we're just gonna have to be good with that, and I'm gonna eyeball it. I'm not planning on using my electric mixer for this recipe because I hate using my electric mixer. It's loud, and it's also really old, and I've never washed it because it used to be my mom's, and my mom does not like baking, so it only got used like once a year when I would force her to bake with me as a child. So there is dried muffin mix on that electric mixer from the Bush administration, first term. So I don't want to touch it, or at least I don't want it to be on camera. I don't want you guys to see the carnage. So our first step is flour. I'm gonna put like 2 cups of flour. That seems like a correct amount of flour. Seems like a responsible amount of flour. Measuring cup. Drink up. I do want you guys to be kind of impressed by my ability to just sort of eyeball amounts. And actually, now that I think about it, I'm perfectly set up for that to happen. Because if the cookies turn out well, and I made them without actually measuring anything, that's really impressive. And if the cookies turn out poorly, I will delete the video files, smash my camera with a hammer, perhaps, and walk into the woods never to return. So you'll never know either way. Now we add a generous amount of salt. I thought that would be louder. Baking soda and powder. Baking powder, baking soda. I'm gonna put like a half teaspoon of each, you know? I love the experimentation of baking. I have a close friend who's extraordinarily allergic to dairy. I don't know why I said that like that. And one time we were having a picnic, our friend group, and I volunteered to bring a little dessert. And I was about to start baking. I literally had butter that I had set aside to soften. And I remembered, I can't use butter in this recipe, I'll kill my friend. So I used vegetable oil instead. And those cookies were weird. But the oiliness of the cookie dough gave it this really clay-like consistency. And those were the easiest cookies to roll up and put on a baking sheet I've ever encountered. And that is my least favorite part of baking. I hate actually putting the cookies on the cookie sheet. My hands get all gross. Okay, easy squeezy. Now the fun part comes with our spices. I'm gonna go gentle with my allspice and my nutmeg. If you use too much nutmeg and stuff, it's so immediately detectable. And I don't have cloves to balance out the flavor. So it's gonna be a very cinnamon heavy flavor. Beginning with a small dash of nutmeg. Of nutmeggin. Allspice. Sure. Cinnamon. Awesome. It's like I'm your mom in the 90s with my little striped shirt and my black tights and my little skirt. Boy, that Bill Clinton. Honey, stop playing in the basement. You're going to knock over all those jugs of water your father stockpiled for Y2K. Ooh, that's already got a nice smell to it. Smell it. Inhale really sharply. Okay, those are our dry ingredients set, so I'm gonna put the bowl elsewhere. And now we get to work on the squishy part. This is a stick of unsalted butter that I bought at the grocery store like 2.5 hours ago. And it's been sitting next to the dehydrator while the pumpkin puree was drying. Right next to the... How does anybody bake with perfectly softened butter ever? How many years of my life am I expected to spend softening butter? Softening butter. That's the problem with this generation. Everything has to be soft. Look at this butter, blue font. of course. I bet this butter has pronouns too. This unit is not labeled for retail sale. Yeah, I bet it isn't. This butter thinks it's too good for retail. My first job was at retail. I worked the counter at Woolworths every summer. Now, I looked at a recipe, as I mentioned, and it suggested I use brown sugar exclusively. And that really got my blood pumping because I love anytime I get to use brown sugar in a recipe because it moves in such an interesting way, like kinetic sand. Look at that. The butter doesn't even want to leave the wrapper because it's so sensitive. You know, butter, you can't get everything you want. This country is about sacrifice. Sacrifice everything. Actually, I think this butter might be perfectly softened. So I rescind everything I just said about not wanting to wait for butter to soften. I'm so good at that. I'm so patient. I have such amazing craft. Brown sugar! I used to listen to the song Brown Sugar by the Rolling Stones as a teenager. Because you know how every teenager kind of gets into a phase where they're like, classic rock is actually pretty cool. And that song made me mad uncomfortable. I'm gonna measure out a cup of brown sugar because that seems like a respectable amount of sugar. And also I'm gonna put in so much vanilla extract and white chocolate chips so the cookies are gonna, they're gonna be sweet. But not so sweet that I can't taste that good goddamn salt. Actually, let me show you how much I love salt. What's that? Oh, is that a little jar of Marmite? An incredibly salty, savory spread for things like bread and toast. Well, you know, that's cool and all. That's fine, but oh, what's this? A second unopened jar of Marmite? Whoa, well, you know, that the average British household has that as well. I don't see why that's so, oh! A jar of Vegemite? A similar but different spread? Anyway, let's get back to this brown sugar. You know, considering all of the glass I've broken in this kitchen over the years, I really should not be so cavalier about being barefoot in here, but whatever. I've survived a great many shards of glass being stuck in various parts of my feet. And brother, call me Elton John, because I'm still standing. I am doing this in such a stupid way. I'm getting brown sugar absolutely everywhere. Oh, this is the best part. When you get to like tamp it down and it just stays there because it's moist. Are you guys babies who hate the word moist, or am I making videos for actual adults? I never understood why people hated the word moist. I've never heard a legitimate reason, an actual explanation for it. Because when I think of the word moist, I think of beautiful, wonderful things. The rainforest, cake. What's the problem? It's not like damp. Like when I think of damp, I think of basements, I think of mildew. But not moist, it's different. Like when something is damp, it's not supposed to be wet, but when something is moist, it is supposed to be wet. In a good way, in a vivacious, lively way. What's the problem? I don't get it. I've never gotten it. Cool, that's a reasonable amount. I'm glad that's over, honestly. That was extraordinarily undignified. I could feel myself losing my credibility with all of you. Look at that. Look at it move. Brown sugar! This spatula is way too flaccid to get the job done here. I need a more rigid instrument. Whenever I bake, I think of the musical Waitress, which is based off the movie Waitress. And I want to sing the songs from it, but not everybody's a musical theater person. And also, if I start singing show tunes, I'm not gonna stop singing show tunes. Sugar! Oh my god, this is gonna take a while. Maybe I should get the electric mixer. Oh, I don't want to! I hate the electric mixer. I'm embarrassed I showed you that. Do you guys think I'm gross? Whatever. Maybe I'll clean it. I'm not gonna. Shut up! Shut up! I hate this so much. I wish I had a KitchenAid so bad. But they're like $1 billion. If I got a KitchenAid mixer, I would have to commit to like really baking. Like I would have to really be on my grind. This is gonna go by fast. I'm gonna cream that pumpkin. I'm gonna cream that vanilla extract and I'm gonna cream my eggs. The recipe that I looked at wanted me to use egg yolks specifically. Girl, f you. If you think I'm gonna spend a single second of my life separating out egg yolks from whites, it's simply not happening. Okay, ready? By the way, if you bake and you want to give me advice, you don't have to. You get it. I don't need to show you everything. So I finished mixing. I'm not gonna lie to you. This looks bad. The butter and the pumpkin are not getting along with each other. It's sort of like little chunks of butter floating in pumpkin mess. But we're gonna put the dry stuff in there. It's gonna soak up some of that pumpkin juice. I feel confident. I also don't know if I was supposed to use 2 eggs. That also might be contributing to the consistency. Life doesn't follow a recipe. You have to march to the beat of your own drum or whatever. You're supposed to do this a little bit at a time. I'm aware of that. Not interested in doing that though, because that sounds like rules. There's no rules in life or baking. Except for that in baking there actually are quite a few, because it's science. It's not really preparing food as much as it is laughing in the face of God. See, everything's fine. Everything comes together in the end. And I haven't even added my chips yet. Actually, I should probably do that right now before everything is completely incorporated. I'm using white chocolate chips because I'm weird. It felt like too many. Oh, some of them are stuck. That means the baker gets a couple extra. God, I love white chocolate. It's my weirdest trait. And yeah, I don't like candy corn, which feels weird. Because candy corns aren't like explicitly white chocolate, but they're like similar. They're both weird, at the very least. I think we're basically ready to throw this on some cookie sheets and bake and see what happens. Tastes normal. Oh, rien de rien. No, je ne regrette rien. This dough is really wet and really sticky. I definitely did not get enough water out of that pumpkin. These are gonna bake weird. Let's pop them in the oven for like 10 minutes or whatever. And now we wait. 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 598, 1,000, 599, 1,000, 600, 1,000. Let's see. Guys, are you decent? Oh, they're chubby. What do we think? They're real cakey, which I like. I like when a cookie is more like a little tea cake than it is an actual cookie. Oh yeah, that bottom is cooked. Okay, let's get these guys on a cooling rack and then figure out what I'm gonna do with the rest of this dough. These actually smell really good. Wow, it's almost like there's delicious stuff in there. The baked good with brown sugar and cinnamon in them smells good. They're about to give my ass a Peabody Award. Oh, I love baking. La 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 la. They're almost like little sweet dumplings, not cookies. Which I don't mind. I don't like a crunchy cookie. Actually, I like a cookie to be as close to a wad of wet dough as possible. If I could not cook them at all, I would. Or wouldn't, as it were. Christ! What if I do something kooky, crazy wild, and I get a little baking dish? I get a little baking dish. And I take the rest of the batter and I put it in the baking dish all together and I make like a little cookie cake. Let's do it. Look what shenanigans I'm getting up to now. This dough is so sticky This was so difficult to get in a uniform shape, but I did it! And I'm gonna put it in the oven, and then something really exciting is gonna happen. We're gonna taste one of these little bad boys. Look how cute, they're so puffy. You guys ready? You can have the first bite. Oh! I got it. Mmm. You know what I'm tasting? That's salt. Ooh. It's actually not too sweet, which is nice. I think I even could have used more pumpkin. And more cinnamon. Actually, most of the sweetness is coming from the white chocolate chips, which is good because the flavor around it not being so sweet makes it not an overpowering sweetness. This would be really good with coffee. Oh my gosh. Oh yay! That's really tasty. They're very soft, very cakey, bouncy, airy. If you like a chewier cookie, I would recommend looking up a pumpkin cookie recipe and actually following it, which I did not do. I'm not signing off just yet. I really want to see how that monstrosity I just put in the oven bakes up, and then after that, the video is over. I realized why people tend not to use white chocolate chips. These look like teeth. This is a little creepy looking. This particular one has these empty areas around the white chocolate chips. These look like teeth. These are really freaky looking. I feel like they're giving body horror a little bit, which is perfect because they're Halloween cookies. Oh my God. And this is so perfect because I ran my dishwasher this morning, which means my cookie jar is clean. I'm jarring you. I'm jarring you. You've been jarred. Kerplunk. I love baking. 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 The oven has sang me her siren songs. So let's see what my baked goods have got going on. What on God's green? Guys, what does scallop? Ooh! Girl, that's baked. Ooh, no she's not. Okay. Hey there, you hey there. How are you doing? I'm gonna cook that for like 2.5 more minutes. ¿Quieres? So, it's spongy. It's like a brick. It's like a cookie cake plus brownie plus like sponge cake brick. This is the bottom. It's pretty solid. It's a little more done than I would personally like. Like I said, I like when stuff is basically just dough. But I guess I don't really have any idea what the dead center of this is like. So maybe, I know you guys are getting tired. I'll end the video soon. Maybe I give this like 10 minutes to cool, and then I cut it open and I see what it looks like on the inside. Spooky style. My liege. Here she is. Okay. She's a little bit soft in the middle. I hope you can see. Observe. But that's cool, huh? Now I have like a whole cookie bar situation. You know what? I bet that would taste really good with a really thin layer of like a spiced cream cheese frosting, which I'll be making right now. Guys, just kidding. It's the end of the video. This was a fun little adventure. I had a lot of fun making this. You know, I always have fun making my videos, but this one's extra fun because I have cookies at the end of it. And what could be better than creative fulfillment and also cookies? Thank you so much for watching this video. I sincerely hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you feel so inclined, and don't forget to use code nisipisa for 10% off at checkout at your local sugary sweets baked good store. You walk in there and mention my name, you'll see what happens. Thanks again for watching. Bye. Okay, like